Since
a
last
year,
year.
I think. So since January of 2020.
Yeah, that's
That's before quarantine.
So it was there 2 months
Oh,
prior.
wow.
We started the first 2-3 episodes, and then
that's when
quarantine hit.
Yeah. So when you guys started, it wasn't really consistent.
I think the first month, I think in some of the episodes there was like that 2-week span.
Yeah.
So we didn't maybe do it every week. We were trying to like figure out like from his schedule, work schedule to my work schedule, like, hey, what time can we do it and record it? So at first it was kind of difficult adjusting to like having like once a week. But as time went on, you were able to adjust. And I feel too like once you start something new, maybe sometimes you're trying to like, figure out, is it really something that I like? You're kind of trying to see if it's really, something good. And as you do more and more, I got more pleasure out of it. And I was like, you know what, man, let's do it like consistently, like once a week.
Welcome to another episode.
Welcome to another episode of the Mendable Hustler Podcast. I'm your host G, and my co-host Arturo, and we have very special guests today with us. The conversation for today's podcast.
100%.
We have
You're here.
Taylor, and we have Frank. So for people who don't know you guys, can you guys introduce yourselves?
Absolutely. I'm gonna let him start it off, and then I'll continue from there.
Okay. So, my name's Frankie, born and raised in Ottawa, and I'm one half of the, podcast Conversation for Days.
Yes.
And,
All right, cool. Khalil over here. I'm the other half of the Conversation for Days podcast.
Yeah.
I guess born and raised here too, so that's what's up. And I just want to thank you guys, for having us on here.
Yeah.
I know we're about to have
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you.
it's gonna be a wonderful episode. So I can't wait.
It's gonna be a good one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you guys again, and first and foremost, this podcast is just like it's something that we fall in love with the process. And we feel like every episode is like it's just so much fun because we get to learn a lot, things that we don't know from our guests and stuff like that. And to bring you guys, it's amazing. It's amazing because you guys been doing the podcast for a good time now. Since
a
last
year,
year.
I think. So since January of 2020.
Yeah, that's
That's before quarantine.
So it was there 2 months
Oh,
prior.
wow.
We started the first 2-3 episodes, and then
that's when
quarantine hit.
Yeah. So when you guys started, it wasn't really consistent.
I think the first month, I think in some of the episodes there was like that 2-week span. So we didn't maybe do it every week. We were trying to like figure out like from his schedule, work schedule to my work schedule, like, hey, what time can we do it and record it? So at first it was kind of difficult adjusting to like having like once a week. But as time went on, you were able to adjust. And I feel too like once you start something new, maybe sometimes you're trying to like, figure out, is it really something that I like? You're kind of just trying to see if it's really, something good. And as you do more and more, I got more pleasure out of it. And I was like, you know what, man, let's do it like consistently, like once a week.
That's right. And on top of that, my schedule is always all over the place. It keeps changing. So, sometimes we have to do recording on Tuesday. Next week is probably going to be Friday or something
It's
like
always
that.
different days.
Oh, yeah, mostly always different days. We're trying to find one official date that at least, we can be like,
We're still working on it.
Like for us, we try to do we try, right? But like right now that we're having guests, depends on when the guest is available.
Yeah,
So we try to just do on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, work around it. Yeah.
And have the rest of the week just to focus on editing the episode and trying to post one a week. That's the whole focus, but we're not putting too much pressure on our back. So
Yeah, so I think this falls back to one of the topics we discussed with one of our guests,
Yeah.
a personal trainer, Halfness. He was talking about developing a habit, and he listed several different steps, almost like grades, right? So the very first step that he mentioned was basically motivation. A lot of us have different types of motivation, but that never really builds up to anything. Speaking of podcasts, you had the motivation to start a podcast, right? And that motivated, and it went to a different step. The second step that he mentioned was consistency. In order for that motivation to become something interesting, to become something, I don't know, like a podcast, it needs to build some consistency. The third step that he mentioned was basically after it's developed a consistency, it turns into a habit. A habit is something that's fully developed, that you don't have to think about too much, that you're easily motivated to do. So those are the steps that he mentioned, and that's something I wanted to mention on that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
No, I totally agree on, especially the aspect of like consistency.
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like once we had that grasp, okay, we started something new. Like I just have like, you know, even today to this day, like I watch like a bunch of podcasts, like every day I watch. Sometimes I have like some podcasts, I'm like, I can't finish this today, but I'm gonna keep it for the next day. So I'm so into the podcast world that when we first started, I was like,
Or just like different podcasts as well.
yeah, so I have like, you know, I'm interested in, you know, in basketball, you know, soccer, I'm a sport
so
guy.
all over the place,
I also have like comedy podcasts that I love.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of comedy. Also have, trying to think, just like, you know, sometimes like some people that in their own background or like, not background, but
like channel or their own kind of
like no, they did something from their own business or something, or they're like a celebrity or something, and then they started their own podcast with a friend or something.
It's almost like describing a passion, something that you're passionate about. You don't necessarily think about it as a job, you just start it because you like doing it, it's fun. And then eventually it turns into something profitable.
That's right. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's the best way to go, right? Because I mean, if you follow your passion, you're never gonna work a day in your life, they say, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you're just gonna be having fun, and it's gonna be exactly what you want to do.
Right.
So it's like, I like that path. Yeah.
So
probably.
one thing that we like to do before we go ahead and to our conversation, we like to kind of like ask our guests like your background and stuff like that. How is it like growing up? Stuff like that. Wait, I already know.
Yeah, you got me on that
for
one.
my goal and stuff like that.
100%.
But you were born here in Canada, right?
I was born here in Canada.
Have you ever visited Angola?
So you see, that's the thing, man. Because we've been planning that like mission for like so long.
Yeah.
And it's like now that there's this whole COVID and everything like that.
I know, man.
It was supposed to be like in April we're supposed to go, but now it's like it's kind of getting pushed off to the side. So
The whole family.
The whole family. Yeah, exactly.
Man,
So
for
now
the first time.
Yeah, I know, right? For the first time, so it's gonna be a nice homecoming trip. It's gonna be proper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, so I'm actually using this time now because my Portuguese is not flawless, right? So I
It's
mean,
okay, man. Once you go there, like you say, 2 weeks, man, you're gonna come
2
back.
weeks. Okay, yo, I'm gonna hold you to that one.
2 weeks, man. Just 2 weeks.
2 weeks, huh?
Because it's just Portuguese.
Yeah.
Nothing else, right?
Anything else, eh?
Like, unless, like, if you stay with the fam,
Yeah.
man, you're gonna learn a lot.
Quick, okay,
Quick.
that's good. That's good.
Quick,
Yeah.
yeah. Because at home, your
Yeah.
dad probably talks to you couple things. in
Couple,
Portuguese.
a couple things like here and there, you know.
And you
like,
understand more than you speak.
That's right. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
How are
just
you from?
finding
Where
the
you
words.
from?
Yeah.
So I'm born here, but my parents, I'm from Burundi. So, you know, small country in Africa, right next to Rwanda. So I've been there once when I was
So
10.
you actually visit, okay?
Yeah. So you beat me on that one. So.
So I've just been once, but I still have great memories from it. Beautiful country. You know, I mean, we're known for what can I say? We're known for great coffee.
Okay.
I feel too like as people, we're like if you meet any Burundians, they're very just like happy, vibrant people. Always like to have fun. Somewhat.
I'm going on that one, man.
Yeah.
Every Burundese that I met, they always had that energy. So I mean, it's like it's always been good.
So that kind of transferred to how my upbringing was, like when I was a kid, like even growing up here, like my parents, you know, bringing their culture and what they learned from Burundi and bringing it here. And obviously they adjusted to the Kenyan culture, but they still instill some values from their parents and from their upbringing and brought it here. So I mean, honestly, my childhood was pretty easy to the point where I didn't have too much struggle. We lived in a, you know, good house. You know, I mean, it was like rental house,
Oh,
but
okay.
honestly, like we had everything. You know, I mean, we had great neighbors, we had food, we had enough money to live.
Yeah.
I never really like complained. You know what I mean?
That's good, man. That's good.
Really good. Yeah.
You as well, right? Like you were
Yeah.
first you were living together with mom.
Yeah, that's right. And then so they went their separate ways, right?
Yeah.
And then because on my mom's side, that's where like I'm a Zambian and Congolese, right?
Yeah.
So it's like with that whole separation, of course that changes the whole dynamic of everything,
Of course.
right? So I mean, like what you got to do is like you face more kind of struggles, more responsibilities, right? So it's like with that you kind of learn. I always wondered because it's like the separation of parents is like. It gives you the opportunity to see your parents but individually, right? So you get to learn a different part of them, and how they are individually, right?
Yeah.
So that's like me and my sister, we kind of use that opportunity to better the structure of our family, because it's like, and now hey, we're getting older now, getting a little smarter now, so
In the beginning was tough.
In the
Of course,
beginning,
going to that.
That's
Stay
right,
with
that's
dad,
right.
stay with mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All that bickering in between and everything. So yeah, it was rough, but like we came to a better place. And I feel like it's mostly because of that, because it gave us like the chance to look deeper into things.
Yeah, I think it offers different perspectives because
right.
each parent has their own strengths and weaknesses, so you get to learn different things from each.
That's right.
It's a really
That's right.
valuable experience.
And I remember seeing you guys every time we hang out.
That's
we go
true.
places, parties, and stuff.
Yeah, man.
You guys always in a great mood, man. Your smile still the same, nothing changed, man.
Yeah, man.
Now it's just the beard,
Just the beard, yeah. Yo,
Yeah,
I'm trying
man.
to catch up to you, bro. This man got it coming out the side.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's great, man.
Yeah.
So, like, with the experience that you guys have with the podcast,
yeah.
how was the transition, like, finding, because you guys do topic, you guys just sit down and or you guys decide of the topic you guys gonna talk about, or you guys just like, okay, we're doing a podcast today, and you guys just sit down and go with the flow?
I would say it's kind of both, because I remember this man in the beginning, he had like an idea on how he wanted to organize all the tomes and like the kind of things we were going to be talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe you can give more insight into that.
So pretty much like my mindset about the podcast was like, I'm big on philosophy and psychology. So you know how like philosophers, they had like large books and they had chapters and they call it like tome.
Yeah.
So my mindset was like the podcast was almost like doing like a digital book. So like every episode we do, it's almost like you're writing like 10 pages of your book. So each episode, it's from that tome, it's like one chapter. So from each episode, I always like to have like different conversation. Like if I talk with my friends, we always have different conversation. I mean, it's not like it's normal that you're gonna have sometimes conversation that you had before, like last week, and bring it up and maybe have a different perspective on it or change it a bit. But for our podcast, I wanted, similar to like philosophers, like they always want to question about life. They always want to ask, like, just question about everything and anything. So that was my mindset. It's like, let's have topic about literally everything and anything. So we're very like
That's
open.
good.
So we're not necessarily like limited like ourselves to do just, we're just gonna talk about
Okay.
topics on psychology. No, we can talk about like anything.
Right, yeah.
So
I
That's great.
have a question. So at the beginning, did you feel like you were more restrictive in comparison to what you are now? You become much more yourself. You have you have an identity, so I don't think.
Yeah. So that's a great question. Great question. I think that at the beginning, because I had that background from like from the psychology and philosophy, I feel like the first tome, with most of the topics were very like I wanted to bring that psychology and philosophy perspective, right?
Yeah.
But then as time went on, I feel too like sometimes when you're lacking inspiration and you're trying to find a topic, that's the moment where I realized, you know what, like let's maybe like go to maybe try a different direction, and maybe for me even myself, it's not really a conversation I really don't really have that often, but why not have it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I think after the first tome, that's where we started to get more open, and I feel too like having guests and people that bring in different perspective, and even them giving us questions or like, hey, we should talk about this and that.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay. So I think that's when after the first tome, that's when we kind of just open ourselves more, and we've been doing this ever since. I think.
because I mean, like you guys know, right? That's like the first couple of episodes is all about establishing, you know, who you are.
Yes.
You know, sharing that with the world, right? But then after a while, yeah, man, it's gonna expand into so many other avenues of like life, right? So it's like, yeah, that's the one thing that really drew me in. Well, at least to the podcast, you know, I really appreciated the title that he came up with, like Conversation for Days. Because I was like, when I saw that, I was like, it
opens up for so many things.
So many things. Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, you sold me on that one.
Oh, he came with the name?
Yeah, he just came up with the podcast
I don't know how,
idea,
just
right?
one day, because you know, you're trying to find a title, but you don't want to have something like, literally, I went on Google and I was typing things, making sure there's no other podcast that have the exact name.
Yeah, gotta make sure.
There's like there's literally like thousands and millions of podcasts nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many people that have different title, but some is kind of similar. So I was kind of going into it. I think I even find something saying Conversation for Days, but they didn't have the little Z.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Let's put the Z, because Z is like Generation Z. So we grew up in that generation. I wanted to bring that usefulness type of and like, you know, that's our generation. That's how we grew up. So like the opinions that we have, the person that we have, it's coming from that generation that we grew up.
That's right.
Right. Did you also design a logo?
So that was actually shout out to him, Anthony. So we went to high school together. He's like he does like freelancing work. Okay. So he does like, you know, graphics and some things of that sort. And one day I just asked him, I was like, hey, would you be willing to do, like, I had an idea in mind with the whole brain and everything. Yeah. And I was like, would you be, you know, able to do it? And he was like, we had a good relationship in high school. And that's where I think too, like, connection is so big. In terms of like keeping those, like, even if I didn't even spoke to that person in like years, but we were so cool in high school that when I asked him right away, he was like, oh yeah, I'm so down. It's almost like he was waiting for the opportunity to do something.
That's nice.
And that's the one thing that I'm doing now, because back in high school, of course, when you play sports, you're so popular, right? Like now, like, I'm actually just getting in touch with the people that I know from back high school, and people who went and played like college ball and stuff like that. I'm messaging them, you know, I need you in the podcast. And they're willing to come because I want them, because especially those who have a big platform will be good. They'll have listeners, you know, their audience or whatever to listen to our podcast. You know? Because I really I believe that we have a very important message for a lot of teenagers, right? People who are in high school, people who just getting out of high school, who still trying to find their identity, their purpose, or they still don't know who they are. You know what I mean? So, because I struggled with that, you know, after high school, I actually took 2 years off because I didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, because it was just basketball, right? The whole time basketball, I was just so focused on basketball, and everything else didn't really matter to me when I should focus on other areas in my life, you know what I mean? But when you're having too much fun, you don't really think of all those other things, you know what I mean? You just have a tunnel vision. It's just the one thing you think that I'm gonna go play basketball, I'm gonna go professional, you know what I mean?
That's right.
There's nothing else matter. But when you like go after high school, that's when you go really face reality. You know what I mean? So you face reality, and now you kind of like, is it basketball is the only thing that I can do? You know what I mean? Then that's when personal development comes in.
That's right.
But that's like kind of late, because you should be self-improvement way early than that. You know what I mean? But of course, in school we don't really get taught in all those areas. You know what I mean? But I just feel like this podcast could help a lot of people.
And it doesn't need to particularly be about just motivating people to find an identity. It just be about sharing our experiences, because we have younger individuals who are going through the same thing that we went through. So if you could provide examples in terms of how we went through those things, how we dealt with it, then they can have a better.
And it's really just about that. We're trying to like just share our experiences. Like say when we pick a topic, it's not me doing research and to answer the questions. We're doing research and looking back, like things that I can share from my experience to that topic. Does it make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that too because it's
Yeah.
like, you know, you guys sharing your stories, you know, us sharing stories.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many perspectives, and you know, you listen to another podcast, but you might not relate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But then, you know, we have to listen to yours, and it's like, oh, boom, you know, it connects, or some part of your story, it connects with like a part of my story. That's the one thing I like because it's like every situation is unique to the individual. It can relate, but I mean, ultimately, it's very unique, and to find something to connect with. Like, you know, especially that's why I love stuff about like motivation, inspiration, all of that. You know, because it's like, yeah, man, that goes so far because like it sticks with you in an internal kind of like
It does.
deep level.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Frank said, like, you know, we all have like favorite podcasts that we like to listen to or watch.
Yeah.
That's because you can relate to. Like you said, basketball, comedy, and stuff like that. Stuff that you can relate to, and there's only a specific ones that you really can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Right, because it's stuff that you relate to. So that's why we try to really experience ours, because you're gonna find so many podcasts about like motivation and stuff like that. There's so many.
So many.
So the only way that we can make it unique, different, is just to be ourselves and share our own personal stories.
That's right. That's right.
And our wisdom, right? Yeah. So today, what we wanted to do something special, like us featuring you guys, by you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we wanted to like we have a topic.
Yeah, the topic we selected today is self-love and self-acceptance. It's a very important thing with it, motivation and striving to be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be important to discuss in today's episode.
And it would be great with you guys. So
Yeah, man. That's
you know, you guys are in conversation for days.
That's
so,
right.
you know,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today we're repping that sleepless grind more lifestyle, though. You know, so
Shout out to
yeah.
Brad. You keep it good.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, no, very important topic for sure.
Yeah.
Self-love.
So, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in life, I think a lot of us, whenever we are brought up in our families, in our societies, we tend to grow with a lot of confidence. We tend to have a lot of joy and want to experience the world for what it is, right?
Yeah.
But as time winds on, we sort of become self-aware of everything that's going on, and we begin to become insecure about ourselves. We tend to sort of lack confidence after some point, because we come to understand that there are different things that people value, and because we don't have those things, we don't feel value or something like that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us tend to lack the motivation to strive to be the best version of ourselves. So I thought it would be important to discuss self-love and self-acceptance in the road of building the best version of yourself.
I love that. And even just to maybe kick it off, let's see. I mean, self-love, I feel like, okay, you grow up in the world, right? And so, you know, you grow up in the world, you know, you get taught by your parents, your loved ones, everything like this. But you ultimately, like, you go and you have to find yourself first, right? Because it's like, you know, you're building yourself, you're going to school, you're learning different situations that you're dealing with. So it's like, ultimately, you know, it's like, how can you love someone else if you don't have love for yourself, right? So that's always like,
That's huge.
yeah, right. So it's always got to be the first step into golden topic, self-love, self-acceptance. You know, it's like you start seeing all these insecurities about like what's around you or what's even in yourself, but it's like, you know, it's like you have to find that acceptance, you know, because it's like if you can't accept what's going on around you, then it's kind of like, you know, how can you change that if you're running away from it, right? So it's like, oh, you see some negativity in your life, it's kind of like embrace that negativity in a way that you can look at it honestly, and then, you know, you kind of change it, or you find a solution for yourself that can work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's very, very important for just in general, you know, like especially when you step out of the house, because I think for a lot of us, we're totally two different people when we're in the house, when we step out.
That's right.
You know what I mean? If when self-love comes in, it's for us to be able to be ourselves anywhere. You know what I mean? And for me, growing up in Angola, where like everybody's your friend, and in the way neighborhood, it's like you know everybody.
Yeah.
So you can be yourself anywhere. You know what I mean? So like at home, you can go with this friend, eat there. You can go with this friend, eat there, and like all your friends live like around. Like have you guys played the game San Andreas?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like the CJ's house, like where everybody's
It's
house.
like a circle, and it's like your own kind of.
Yeah,
like
so kind of like that. That's how it is back home. Like literally, you step out, you wake up, you go to your friend is here.
Yeah.
Or we chilling. Let's say we're chilling at this guy's house here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's gold. Yeah.
it's just like it was a great experience.
Yeah.
So now moving from Angola coming to Canada, totally different experience.
Yeah.
Different culture, everything different. You know what I mean? So now, and the language different too. So it's like you have to adapt to a whole new lifestyle. You know what I mean? And for you to be comfortable, it takes a long time, right? Like some people just go and fit in right away. But like, how can you fit in when you don't speak the language?
That's right. That's the thing. Yeah.
How can you fit in when everything's different?
Yeah.
You see things that you never seen before, and it was just so hard for me. And I think that was a major factor in my life during my personal development, because it was hard for me. I was trying to be somebody else that was not just trying to fit in to a crowd, because I was trying to be accepted to the crowd. You know what I mean? It was so hard for me to like realize, no, I can still be myself. They have to know that I'm not from here. You know what I mean? But I was afraid to be myself because I thought I wasn't gonna be accepted. You know what I mean? But I didn't have too much knowledge of self-love and being accepted. Just being accepted, you know, like it's just knowing that, you know, just be you. And if you don't fit in that crowd, then that crowd's not for you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's just great. It's a great topic. So when he picked that topic, I was like,
When you told us about it, I was just like, that's the one. Because
that's something like this. Like you can go so deep into it, especially like in experiences. Like I feel like going back about what everybody said. Like if you feel like starting from that one environment with your family, you get comfortable, right? Like, you get your parents' love. You know, what I mean, your brother, sister love. Everything is great. But then once you leave the door, and then you have to like, it's literally like a test. Like there's so many different environments you have to go into. You're meeting strangers, and all of them, like they have different perspective about you. And you know, at first you might feel like, oh, like leading from the house, you think like, oh, everything is cool, I should be able to easily adapt. But then you get tested. Like people have opinions about you, have judgment. They look at you differently. Maybe someone laughs at you, and you're like, why is this person laughing at me? You know what I mean? Like you feel like, oh, like I'm great in everything. And you're like, why is this person laughing at me? And then that puts you in that question where it's like, man, it creates insecurities. Also, you're exposed to so many like images and examples in the world where it's like, is that who I should be? You know what I mean? And then you're like kind of becoming insecure about it. So it's something that, you know, there's so many perspectives.
You see people with the 10-pack, you know? So it's like, if I don't got a 10-pack, I shouldn't be dating probably, you know?
So that's when it comes like hate, jealousy, you know what I mean? Envy, all those things.
So let's see. I mean, self-love, self-acceptance. So you know, you have all these images. You have all these images of you know, how the world is saying it should be. Right. So it's kind of like, you know, people, they talk about stuff like, oh, the Matrix and everything like this, and it's kind of like, okay, I feel like if there were to be a Matrix, it would be, you know, what society feels is normal. Right, because you're looking at all these things. Oh no, I'm sorry, you're plus size, you can't be a model. You know what I mean? Or oh, you know, you're too short, you can't be a model.
Right.
You know, all these things is like so restrictive, and it's like you have people out here trying to change the game, which is nice. You know, now you have plus size models in certain magazines and stuff like this. But it's like
it's basically like the split screen effect, where you have the expectation versus reality.
That's right, exactly. So now I'm seeing like a lot more reality coming into play, and it's like that's how it should be, because it's like without the reality, I mean, there really is no self-love or self-acceptance, you know. So it's like kind of gotta put that aside, or you know, you see it for what it is, right? It's like, okay, these ones, they're models, whatever. They've been chosen because like the magazine wants to portray this certain type of image. But that's only one perspective, right? So it's like, some people, they come up and they even make their own businesses and they want to even challenge those in the future to be like, no, we allow more people to be in this kind of setting because we recognize more ways of beauty and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So I like stuff like that. It's like, it's definitely in the realm of like, or it allows people to accept themselves a lot more.
Yeah. But before I go, do you have any?
Yeah, sure. So based on the things that I've heard, so every now and then I like to simplify things, right? Because I listen to a lot of podcasts and sometimes the conversation is interesting, but it's much more understandable in the way that I see things, right? And I think it's actually interesting that Jelson mentioned coming in from one country to another.
Yeah.
It's basically the best way to simplify this, right? So growing up in Angola, obviously he was very comfortable. He grew up in a system. With people, he was very similar with culture and everything like that, right? So he was very comfortable. He had an identity there, right? So by the time that he came to Canada, it was like a culture shock, right? With the differences that he saw, he sort of became insecure of himself because of the differences that lie with him. Because people noticed those differences immediately.
Yeah.
And so he sort of felt the pressure to conform because he didn't feel like he was valued as much in this society because he was different.
Yes.
And right, and and him conforming, it sort of created insecurities because he couldn't show his true self.
Yeah.
He didn't feel as valued, as accepted.
For so many years.
So that's my way of simplifying as an example.
I like that. No, you just you compressed it. It's very nice.
Yeah, because that really played a big part of my life. Because, like, telling you guys, like, right after high school, not knowing what I wanted to do, but just when I took the first year off, and I just started really just like imagining things that I used to dream when I was back home, like I wanted to be an electrician and stuff like that. There's so many dreams that I had, but when I got here, it's like I forgot about all those dreams. You know what I mean? I forgot about all those dreams. But like I just knew that's when I started really to kind of like just being a little comfortable with myself. But with the sports, it really helped me a lot because the sports was when you're in the floor, you can really express who you are. You know what I mean? So sports is one of the things. I think me choosing sports, being in sports, really helped me for people to see myself, like expressing myself. You know what I mean? But it took me a while to really go back to my roots. Go back to my roots and to start accepting myself. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I can't be nobody else. I only keep being one Jelson. That's me. Yeah. So went to college, did the first year. Everything was okay. Because you're starting to be that person, right? But like you don't have no purpose, you have no vision and things like that. Struggling with the program that you took. The basketball was not going nowhere, and there was nothing else. So that's when you don't know. I have to really,
dive into.
No, like take school out of the way and go back to the basic and try to like self-improvement myself and really get to know myself.
That's right.
And I did that, and that's when I started doing I developed a routine and started really just working on myself. And here I am today,
So I have a question for Frankie, but Khalil can also add in his input.
Cool.
So in choosing this topic, obviously we wanted to choose something that's relatable to motivation and also somewhat relatable to psychology or philosophy. Right. So I know that you're aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right. And I do believe that like self-love self-acceptance is like at the bottom of the pyramid. Can you share like some things that you learned from that pyramid itself and self-love itself?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't remember. It's been so long in terms of like the specifics.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like I could just say like my own perspective on self-love and self-acceptance. I think that like self-love and self-acceptance, it's really like a process where it's not something that I feel like you can just figure it out just all at once.
Yes.
I think that you kind of like need a time where you have to like a realization, almost a moment where you're kind of like out of, because there's so many distractions. Like when he was talking about the whole, like, you know, he was going through college and basketball. And it's like when you're in basketball, you're enrolled, like you're focused on just that. You don't really have the time to like just escape from it and really like
You're so
understand
busy.
your own brain and
Practice,
how you are.
homework.
So I feel like
You know what I mean? So
sometimes
much.
the best thing is just to like take a break out of anything, out of everything.
Yes.
And sometimes just being alone, like I'm big on just like sometimes take time to just being alone
Yeah.
and be comfortable in being alone.
And good thing you said that, because it really comes to that. Because when you're young, you're doing so much, you never really have time for yourself. Like you go to work, the weekend comes, you go into party. You know, after the weekend, you're tired because Monday is gonna start. You know what I mean? So and you just going with the motion. You're going to school. You come home, you have homework. If you don't want to do your homework, you go out, you go play with your friends and stuff like that. And we don't really have that time to focus on ourselves. Spend that me time. Something that I learned that really helped me a lot. Spending time with yourself. Like just sit down and then just think about like, just go through your day, how your day go and stuff like that. Really get to know why you like. One of the things that I do, I said that on you guys' podcast, and I said one of the things that I do, I actually speak to myself and I ask myself questions. Why am I doing that? Why did I say that when I was speaking to those guys? You know what I mean? So like, it's really like getting to know yourself. You know what I mean? When you look yourself in the mirror and you love that person in the mirror. You know what I mean? It's just like we tend to focus on so many other things. There's so many distractions now. Now with the social media. And
right at the tip of your,
yes,
hands right
you
there.
know what I
You have
mean?
all these distractions.
Netflix, there's so much for video games, you know what I mean? And you never, that's something that the school won't tell you. You know what I mean? So it really, like, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys, you think it starts at home? So, like self-love with your parents? What do you guys think?
You have something in mind? Let's say something.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, I honestly feel like it can start at home. Like, I mean, you learn a lot of things and you're influenced by a lot of things when you're growing up at home. But ultimately, I honestly feel like it starts with yourself, because it's how you process what information you're receiving, right? You know, you go to sleep at night. What are you thinking about at night? You know, it's like, do you take time to think about how your day went? Because even at a young age, there's a lot of kids. I even found myself doing that. Like, I mean, I didn't think so deeply into it, but it's just like I knew that, hey, this is my life. I'm like 8 years old or something, or 8, 9, or 10 years old. Like, what do I want to see for my future, and like how are things going now? Or, so it's like I found myself thinking of like I feel like it's more based on yourself. That's where I feel like it starts, because how you process things. That's what I would say. But what about you, Frank?
Yeah, I think that the family, I don't think they really understand, like, for example, like if I think of my parents, like, love them to death and everything, but too, like, they're from a different generation and they don't live in the time that we're living. So when you're out of the house and you're seeing things in your environment, they grew up in a different time, and I don't think they can really like express or tell you the things on how to really love yourself and accept yourself. So you kind of just have to figure it out by yourself and through like trials and errors. Like the family, they're just from a different generation, I mean, it's gonna be like, there's something that, for example, like social media, like parents don't really understand, like most of them don't really understand what it is, the impact of social media, how it can affect someone, and how, like someone could easily on social media portray themselves and say, hey, look, I love myself, look at me doing this and that, but then behind the scenes, they're struggling. You know what I mean? But you wouldn't know, because what you're exposed to, what they're giving you is everything is great. But really, like, behind the scenes, when they're alone and everything, they're struggling. So I feel like it's just something like you have to figure out in like outside of your house. I don't think it's something you can really learn from your family. I think family is more like you get the values, you
like the fundamentals, the building.
yeah,
blocks
the
of life.
fundamentals somewhat, but you don't really. There's something. It's just they're not. I don't think it's really. I'm not gonna say they're not responsible for it, but I don't think it's something that they think of just because they have different perspective.
Yeah.
They just live in a different time.
Yeah, because it's true. It's like you can only teach your child so much, right? But then like half of the knowledge that they're gonna come into is like stuff that they have to figure out on their own. And it's like you can read so many books, you can do all these things, but it's like that's only half the battle because you actually still gotta get the experience for yourself.
You gotta apply those.
Like experience, in my opinion, is like the best teacher. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's just how, if you want to know how to love yourself, accept yourself, I feel like it's really just through experiences, and even through like in a weird way, like you have to kind of suffer to kind of reach that that stage of okay, I really love myself. Like you have to really like discover and see some of the tough things, and then
it's like when they say, what's that? It takes pressure to build diamonds.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like if you don't run into anything that'll test you, then how can you get to that greatness?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like through some struggle, or through a lot of struggle, I would say. That's when you realize that hey, this is not the life I want to live. Like hey, from here on out, this is in 3 months, this is where I want to be, and then 3 more months after that, this is where I can take it. But then it's like I feel like you deal with something, and then it leaves you with a choice to make, right? It's like you want to take this path. It's gonna be hard work, but it's gonna change you. You're gonna become this type of person, and then people are gonna look up to you, or you're gonna be able to help people,
right?
Stuff like that. Or you can take the easy route. You don't really have to do much, but you're not gonna get what you want, and it's like, you gotta make your choices.
Right. I like to add on to that. So before stating my points, I like to say that so taking from experiences from those that have attempted to commit suicide, at the core of things for most people dealing with suicidal thoughts is that they don't feel as valued and they don't feel as accepted. Right, so I forgot the point I was trying to make.
That happens to me all the time.
There's a lot of noise upstairs. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But self-love, especially because people in those kind of situations that when they're not getting the kind of, or they're not feeling the kind of value that they actually have, it does lead down that road, right? And it's like, because it's very hard, like people, they don't really understand a lot of what happens to people in those kind of situations, and it's like also to be in that situation, it's hard to, at least for me, like I find it's hard to allow people to understand or enter that world, because it's like, if I'm telling you this, maybe I feel like you might not understand, or you're gonna judge me in a different way or something. So I don't know, at least from what I've seen and what I've experienced, I feel like it's difficult. It's hard to relate. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's like you have to find people that you trust. You have to find people that
But you guys think that?
Actually, I want to get back because I just remember my points.
Okay, perfect.
So at every stage in our life, we always need some sort of an emotional support, right? Because what keeps us going is knowing that we are valued and we are loved. So at its core, our family is the most important thing that we need. So growing up, we need to know that we have people that love us no matter what. Because whenever we go out there, we're gonna be exposed to so much that if we're not taught, if we're not shown love at home, and we're shown so much negativity out in the world, we don't feel like we have a reason to keep on going forward.
That's right.
So at the earliest stages of our life growing up, it comes from our family, right? And whenever we go out there and whenever we go into our teens or into our adulthood, we get it from different sorts of people.
That's right.
So it's also important to find those that truly value you for who you are and truly appreciate you. So that keep you moving forward. So my point is just finding someone or finding something that appreciates you for who you are and that lets you know that you're loved no matter what.
Exactly.
And that's my point on that.
So, one thing. So that was my question actually, was to that. So do you you guys think that the environment around you, outside of home, like let's say environments, your friends, plays a big part of that?
I think you had something to say.
Oh no, I was about to say just something I just thought about. It's crazy how like, you know, when we say like self-love, self-acceptance, when you take self, you think just you, but really it depends on like the others really more in a way. Not saying more than yourself, but like if you don't have anybody that loves you, then you're not really gonna feel that self-love. Like you need to have people that gives you that, okay, I actually understand what is love. Because if you don't understand love, then how can you love yourself?
For those people who commit suicide, they don't see, they think nobody else love them.
Well,
They might love themselves, but because they don't get that support that they feel they should get.
they feel like they're being a burden to the people that love them, right? And they don't feel like there's no other way. It's really, they reach that point where they don't see any other solution but to just end themselves to make the lives of their loved ones better because they're only causing them burden by the way that they are. And
That's really deep, and I love that you brought that up because it's true, especially the burden aspect. You know, it's like if you don't see, it's kind of like we can find happiness in knowing that, hey, okay, the path I'm on is gonna get here eventually, right? But then it's like it's like if somebody doesn't have a clear path, or they're thinking more negatively maybe because of what they're going through, then it's like it'll be much easier to see how much harder life will get in the future. You know, so it's like even with that, it's kind of like, you know, if it's on that kind of a mindset, then yeah, it'll be easier to. I'm trying to from at least if I can relate to my experience, I would say that it kind of left me in a situation where it's like, oh, not like there's suicide, but then there's also, I feel like there's a different type where it's like you're not gonna really care so much for what happens to you in your life, right? So it's like you still live to, you know, support the people that like you love and everything like that, but then it's like, I don't know. I always thought like, hey, if things were so bad, then I'd probably just, you know, maybe do something that would put me in a situation where it was like, oh, army or like police or something like this. I'd go out a hero, you know what I mean? At the very least, right? But then ultimately, it's coming through that like realm of, you know, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to like, I feel like it would kind of be like seeing a nightmare. Right? But then it's like you can see the nightmare when you sleep, but then it becomes a daymare because you're experiencing it in the waking hours. You know, so it's like in that kind of a sense, it's like, yeah, it'd be much harder to live per se. But that's also when I realized that, hey, you know what? I'm the only person that's thinking this. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's all these other perspectives. I could be asking my sister, I could be asking my dad, I could be asking my mom, you know, even my friends. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, it's like if I'm gonna go out anyway, so what's stopping me from like having these conversations first? You know, it's like am I so ready to see what's waiting for me on the other side that like I'm gonna dismiss everything that I could have here? You know, so yeah, that's why I'm just like, even if there's that one person, you know, it's like, because you even start to realize, like, you have your family, right? They give you the fundamentals, and they give you like the structure that to go out in the world. But then it's like through friends, you start to realize like, hey, you know, family isn't just blood, right? Because then you start to find people that are brothers, you know, people that are sisters, and you find like, you know, you find people that you can actually like, you know, share your life with, you know, like express what's in your heart. You know, and especially as you get older too, you know, high school, a lot of people, you know, they're kind of more, they're
still trying to figure out.
Right? So they might not understand or like know how to process what you're saying.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you know, as your friends get older, you know, they start to get wiser, and you know, it's those kind of people that like, it's like when they say, hey, you graduate, that's when you find out who your real friends are, because they're the ones that are gonna stick around.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true.
So exactly. You start to build family outside. Yeah.
And I went that at one point too, where it's like, you know how like, you know, every one of us are gonna die, like death is in it. So in a way, like family, they're not gonna be there forever. So you need to have other people that loves you. Right? Like your parents are not gonna be there forever. Like once they leave, who do you got? Like, if you just depend on your parents, then it's like you're gonna be lost.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it becomes quite clear for those that have survived suicidal attempts that after they attempted and they failed, they become to see how their attempt impacts the lives of so many people that they've never considered. Like, because before they attempted it, they obviously thought that they had no value in this world and they meant nothing to no one. So by them passing away, it would never affect anyone. But they come to find out later on that it actually affects so many people that they were not aware of from the start. So it's very important to just try to talk to people, and you'll see.
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just be more open.
More open. Yeah. It's the biggest, or it's the what is it? It's the least that you can do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the least that you can do, but it does the biggest thing.
Right.
So I mean, because so self-acceptance. I mean, that would be in that realm, right? So it's like, you have to accept yourself enough to accept what you're going through.
So now, like, when it comes to that point, what do you think things that for someone that's struggling with that, like let's say someone that's watching this, right? What is things that we can tell that someone that really needs the help, that they're looking for things that they can relate to, things to help them kind of like to open up more, So what's one thing that, from your experience, what's one thing that you can tell us someone that needs, that wants to hear the one thing, like maybe this, I need to do this.
I like that.
Wanna go?
Oh, sure. Okay. I mean, if I could sum it up, I would say that
because how like a lot of people just say, there's so many quotes out there. Be yourself, because everybody is already taking. The only way for you to be happy, you have to be yourself. The only way for you to achieve your dreams, you really have to be yourself. You have to be authentic. You know what I mean? But it's really hard to find specific strategies to help someone that really needs that.
Like the assistance or the drive.
The drive. You know what I mean? It's not more of a motivation. You think motivation plays a part in that?
Man, if I can get a little bit deeper on y'all, I would say that like never deny or don't run away from the struggles that you have to face, or like the darkness that you experience. And I don't mean darkness in a negative way. Like there's darkness and like, well, we're not gonna get into that, but
there's darkness, there's struggles.
Exactly. So it's like never deny that part of your life, because I mean, Batman became Batman how? By facing his deepest fear, which was bats, right? Unless I'm butchering that movie. But so it's that's where you find your superpowers. You find it in the darkness.
Facing your fears.
Yeah, you have to face your fears. If you run away from them, then it's like I feel like that's where life becomes confusing, because you're trying to deny a part of yourself that.
What's the movie that we watched? The kid who keeps seeing ghosts.
The fifth something about element. The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. Have you ever seen that movie?
I've never seen it. I heard about the title, but I've never seen it.
So it's like he keeps seeing, he can talk to ghosts. Like he sees ghosts. He's the only person that can see. He can talk to them. And the only way for the whole thing, can you kind of like, because you know more than me. You watch that movie more than me.
I watched a few times. So the whole thing is he is being haunted by ghosts. It's not like they're tormenting him pretty much. Right? And so there is a therapist. I'm not sure what's his title really. Bruce Willis. Yes. Because the kid is having issues at school. He's not really dealing well with his mother, a single mother. So what Bruce Willis teaches this kid is basically to face these demons, these ghosts, and talk to them to see what's wrong. Right? So the kids developed enough courage after some point and talked to these ghosts, and these ghosts didn't really want to hurt him or anything like that. They were just requesting of him to do something for them, right? Because they're dead, they can no longer communicate with the living, so he communicates in their behalf. And by doing so, he faces his fear, and he's no longer afraid.
That's it. it. Man. Yo, summed up in one movie. Everybody watch Sixth Sense.
No, seriously, man. It's really one. I actually, you can see because there's like another perspective, right?
Yeah.
And for me to see that, it's like, yo, for you to really feel comfortable with something that's bothering you, you either open up or you have to face it. That's the only way you can like actually to overcome something. It's either like you face it or find ways to face it. And just open up. If you can't open up, find a one person that you feel comfortable, like the one person, because we always have the one person that we feel like we can share anything with it. You know what I mean? So, and it comes to that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And one thing about myself that I could say, I was never really afraid to share, especially to my close ones. I was never really afraid to share my feelings, my emotion. I think I'm a very bold person, you know, which is a great thing. Sometimes I really have to watch what I say because it doesn't come out. So man, it's just open up, and that's the only way. You know what I mean? Because you know, sometimes when something is bothering you so much, and then when you let it out, you feel so light. You feel like you just took the weight out of your back that you were carrying for so long. And you feel more released. You feel like, man, I should do this more. You know what I mean? Because of the feeling that you get when you open up.
That's true.
I really think too, like, you need to, I mean, I don't know if everybody has that in the world. Like, you need to find like the right people, like your right friend, because there's your friends where like they're able, like, even if, you know, for example, you get into a call, you talk, or even face to face, you speak to someone, and that friend's gonna push you to express yourself, even if you want to. Like, for example, I'm an introvert, so for me, like, I like to do things by myself. Sometimes some things I just keep it to myself, but I have friends where
you don't seem like you're an introvert.
That's
No, but is it because you're already comfortable? Kind of.
Well,
let's say if we didn't do the podcast, if you didn't know me, would you still?
No, but that's the thing, is that, like, okay, so there was a time when I was younger, I was shy, so I was very like closed off. So like, if you're not like someone I really know, I would kind of just shy away. Even like the eye contact, I wouldn't even look. But then as I got older and getting through more experiences, I got away of that shyness. And then now the introvert, I can speak freely. I don't mind. It's just that it's more like I don't need necessarily attention all the time from someone else. But when it happens, sometimes I'm just gonna maybe say some things. I'm maybe a bit closed off, even with my good friends. But some, they're gonna push me to be like, hey yo, like, tell me, like, what is it? Like, if you're telling them, you're sharing a story, but you're not really giving them the whole. You're kind of like bypassing some facts.
It's good because you're getting to know yourself.
That too.
That's a good
so
thing.
you need to find the right people, because sometimes it's just, you might communicate with them, but they're not really like.
Imagine communicating with somebody very negative. You get the wrong impression, and that fits you. You know what I mean? So having the right people around you, that's very important too, right?
It's also important to note that with introverts and extroverts, just like with most things, it's a spectrum, right? You're not only one. You can be both, but you inhabit more on one side than the other.
That's right.
So it's not only one.
No, 100%. Because I mean, I'd be one of those people that I would say like I'm both. You know, like this.
How can you be both?
So okay, let's see. Let me break this down.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, it really depends. Like, I mean, my moods, they change throughout the day.
Okay.
So it's like sometimes, you know, it's like I'll love me time, right? You know, I'll be reading, I'll be like doing my research on certain things, and then like if I could spend sometimes I get the feeling if I could spend it just a week, you know, just like away or something with myself, I can get a lot of work done and I'll be like very productive and everything. But then there are times when it's like, or if I'm with the right kind of people, you know what I mean, then like, oh boom, I'll express myself, you know, go dancing, all this stuff, right? But it really depends. So I mean,
But I don't think you
actually,
can be both
wait,
though.
wait.
Can you be both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can have some of the two, but
Yeah.
I think I believe that there's one that's a bit more dominant than the other.
Yeah.
Like if I ask you this, for example, are you able for a week not talk to anybody and still feel okay?
Unless it's planned. Otherwise, if it's just happening, then probably I'd say no.
See,
Yeah.
now, yes, for me,
That's-
I can say that for me.
That's me. I don't necessarily. If for a week I don't speak to any of my good friends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not as such of a like. I know people where they need to talk to someone. They need to do something. You know, what I mean, if they can't, they feel a void. I don't necessarily feel a void. I can
Yeah.
still manage and still do my own thing, and then we'll catch up. But I don't depend on if I need it.
It's a good thing. Like when you said like you like your me time,
Yeah.
like reading, maybe play video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
See, as I grew up, it was hard for me to have that me time. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I always wish I was like my little brother. I always wish I was like my little brother.
Yeah.
Because my little brother, he don't mind. He just be at home on the computer for like 5-6 hours,
Yeah.
and then you go play video games, and he's just like having the time of his life.
That's right. That's right.
But me, I'll come home, play video games. I'll get bored. I want to go out.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Like I never really just stayed home. I always had to be with somebody. So and then when you that busy, you never really have time for yourself.
Yeah.
It's really hard for you to figure out who you really are.
Exactly.
The me time is really, really important.
Yeah.
Now when I look back, and for me to love having the me time now, even as a father, as a husband,
Yeah.
I always want that space. You know what I mean? Like like even in the morning when I wake up, I do my meditation and stuff like that. I love a quiet. I like to kind of like work out in the dark in the basement.
That's really good. I never
Yeah,
even thought
man,
of that,
like
but-
everything quiet. I
Yeah.
just love that. You know those like meditation sounds, like there's those relaxing like ocean water sounds.
Yes, that's right.
I like to have that in my ear and just like enjoy that quietness and just
Yeah.
so relaxed, man. And I need that. Like even when I came here, like he was like we're setting up and stuff like that. Like I'm on the back there chilling with that. It just makes me on that space like
Yeah.
relax and
Exactly.
focus.
Balance. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's
Because when I always wish
Yeah.
I was able to do that. When I was younger, back in high school,
Yeah.
I always wish I could do that. But like now, being able to do that is the best
The
feeling.
best thing, yeah.
It's the
I
best
actually really like I gotta try that. So working out in the dark,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, when I'm thinking about that, I'm just like, I feel like that's so beneficial because it's like you're not so blinded by the sight of like, oh yeah, I'm getting jacked right now.
No.
It's like you feel the progress instead of.
Actually,
seeing
I
it.
met somebody at the gym.
Yeah.
This person, he works out with the same sweater every single workout, and it's a baggy sweater, and he's jacked.
Yeah.
But he works out every day with the same sweater. He never takes out the sweater. And he said when he gets home, he never look himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
If when he's showering, after the shower, he can't look himself in the mirror. Because he said in the beginning, when he started getting results,
Yeah.
when he was very, how can you say, what's that word? He got really cocky.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
Something
Arrogant?
about his ego.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he hated the person he was becoming.
So
Because
I'd
of-
like to jump in
Yeah.
to put an example. You ever heard of Mike Tyson on Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
How he would prevent himself from training again because he
because
would
he
get
brings back that yeah.
Yeah, so
that
it's
was-
very
that's
similar
great.
to that.
Yeah. So one thing that he did to work for him, because we all have different strategies that work for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that he did for him, so every workout he'll wear the same sweater. But I said, your sweater doesn't get dirty? Man, I wash every day after the workout.
Yeah.
So when he goes to work, he wears all his clothes because he dress ups, right?
Yeah.
All his clothes are all like he's jocked.
Yeah.
So, but like in my head, when you gonna take that sweater off? It's like I
Yeah.
can't take the sweater off because it's gonna get to my head. I don't wanna think like that, and the energy is not gonna be the same when I work out.
That's right. That's right.
So this works for him. So he's always challenged himself, but he doesn't know. He knows he looks good, right? Because he's doing the eating, the healthy eating. You know, he's following his diet and stuff like that. He's always consistent in the gym, but he never wants to get to the point that. But like he does the weight thing. He weights himself.
Okay.
So he knows where he is. Yeah. But he never want to get to the point that he's looking in the mirror and then he's comparing himself to like feeling himself. Just to have that ego. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I just found that was very interesting. I was like, yeah, that's great. So I started doing that for myself.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So like in the beginning, when I started getting little results and I started having that feeling, you get overconfident. You get so confident, right? But then you start like kind of like looking at like your friends and you're trying to bring them down.
Okay,
Because you look kind of better than your friends.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You see that growth.
So it's not really it's a great feeling, of course, because of the results. But at the same time, when you're bringing people down because you look better than them, it's just like nah. So when I used to work out, but now it's better. Now I can take my shirt off and feel just have no feeling towards anybody. So what I used to do, I'll go to the gym. I'll wear a hoodie. I'll never take it off.
Okay.
I'll never take it off, but I'll wear a different hoodie. It's not the same one.
Maybe the same one. That's a little bit too much. So you gotta change it up every now and then.
And the reason why I work out in the dark at home is because it's just like you always chasing always want to do have better intensity than you did the day before.
That's right.
So I just feel like I'm more focused in the dark.
Okay, I like that. I'm actually gonna try that.
I'm more focused in the dark.
That's interesting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Any one of you can answer, or both of you can answer this question. So, with self-love and self-acceptance, obviously it's much difficult dealing with in today's time with social media.
It is.
Right? In the past, for many of us, we used to face a lot of pressure in comparison to our peers in high school and stuff like that. But the moment we go home, the moment we go do other things, we keep our minds off that. We can sort of relax and just lay back and just have fun. But in today's day, it's basically on 24/7. You basically can't escape it.
That's true.
What are some experiences in terms of coping with the criticism from social media, and how would you deal with the criticism of today in social media?
That's a good question.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think the one important thing is to what is your approach when it comes to social media? So my approach I've had since the day that I started with social media is that I don't take social media seriously.
That's good.
So
That's good.
I look at it like a means. Like right now, it's like a means to an end. So for the podcast, I use it for the podcast, and then also to communicate with my friends or people. Like there's benefits. Like for example, like if it's memes, you know what I mean? Like there's things where it gives you a satisfaction, it gives you a certain pleasure. So I appreciate that. But I think it's when you look at it, when you have that approach that if you don't take it seriously, then it doesn't become an obsession. So for me, like when it comes to social media, I can easily disconnect myself and don't feel that urge to get back to it. You know what I mean? So I can disconnect without any discomfort. Like I feel like there's a lot of people, if they disconnect, they're like, oh, I need something. Okay, I need to pull out my camera, film what I need to do. Like if you look at my social media nowadays, it's literally just I either post about my podcast or my stories about music, because I'm for me, music is like a big thing. Like especially too when it comes to self-love. Like I don't know, there's a way with music where I can listen to it and it just gives me that feeling of I don't know, there's certain lyrics sometimes I listen to and it gives me those emotion that clicks where I feel good about myself and everything, right? So I'd say music, and then everything in terms of if it's black business or whatnot, I post that. But literally anything else, if it's me going outside in a bar, I don't have that urge, you know what I mean? Nowadays it's people have to film everything, every movement they do.
Yes.
And I feel like when you do that, then that becomes a problem. But if you're able to kind of just enjoy the moment without needing to share something, that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So I would say the
balancing.
Exactly. So I would say a good for anybody maybe that's trying to get off social media. I think it's just you need to train yourself to be comfortable without it. Mm-hmm. Maybe even just
find
be busy
the
too.
main reasons why you're using it for.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
That too.
Yeah. Some people, man, they love the validation, you know. And it's like without that validation, then who am I? You know, it's like people aren't
really focus on those likes, man.
Yeah.
People really focus on the likes. Oh, how come I didn't get this like? How come I only got 3 likes?
Yeah, and even worse, it's like,
People
oh, my
really-
friend got 100 likes, but me, I only got 80. What's
Right.
going on here? Like, you know what I mean?
And I love the thing that now they do. The only person that can see the likes, it's you.
Yeah, that's true.
The amount of likes.
Yeah.
I like that. But you can
Yeah.
the follow, even the follow maybe it will be the next thing to take how much people, maybe not.
Oh, to what?
Like the followers.
Oh,
how much
You're
followers
not
you
gonna
have.
be able to see. or
Yeah.
something.
I wonder about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that is a big factor in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because it's a business thing, kind of like the influencers and stuff like that.
That's the thing too.
The celebrities.
Some people that
you
actually
have to
make-
see the numbers.
Yeah, they make money out of like from their social, like, you know, like I was listening to a podcast or something, and I think it was a girl. She's like a publicist.
Yeah.
She was a publicist for like.
Yeah, do they get actually paid by how many likes, how many followers you have?
After a certain point, right? Like,
I think so because I heard that too.
But I think
I'm
from-
just not sure.
I thought it was maybe from brands. No, you need to get brands that pays you, and not directly from Instagram. I don't know if it's really from your followers itself.
You have to be sponsored or something.
I think I'm not too sure.
Because I know if you promoting something, you like let's sponsor or like an ambassador of a brand.
Uh-huh.
Kind of that you get paid, but I heard something on the podcast too.
Well,
How many likes and how many followers you have. Well, that's how TikTok is, right?
yeah, oh, with TikTok, I mean, I don't know too much about TikTok, but but yeah.
It might be. I thought it was maybe more for like if it's like for YouTube. You know, I mean, like for example, if you have that amount of subscribers and likes, you're directly gonna get you know, I mean, some income money
And
out
views
of
and
that
subscribers.
too. But Instagram, I thought that was a platform that brings you to brands and companies that gives you money.
Yeah.
right.
So they kind of
I
endorse
might be
you.
wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. But we'll find out one day. Right?
We'll find out.
When I wanted to
Very
finish it
interesting.
off with the whole with the publicist, she really said that if someone contacts me and they don't really have
A certain amount.
a certain amount of following,
Yeah.
there's no point of me working for you, because she reached a certain level where it's like if I'm a publicist and I expect to get
Which
something
makes
good,
sense, right?
yeah, in terms of money and
Yeah.
income, I need to have someone that's like that has a legit
big platform.
a big platform. So okay, it makes sense for me to be your publicist because you can actually make some money. Out of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So for me, the simple ways that I look at it is with the term influencer.
Yeah.
So it's basically people who have the influence to influence their audience to buy certain things. So with the way people make money on social media nowadays is they amass a certain amount of followers, and companies become aware of that, and so they basically give products for them to promote. And so their audience pays for their
Because they
those
bring
products.
attention to your page, right?
Yeah.
Because they have a bigger platform. If you give your product, so they share on their platform, so more people can see it, right?
Exactly.
To expand your business. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
If you see your favorite soccer player, you know, wearing something that like is Nike or something, yeah, you might just go out and buy some Nike or something.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
And I had one point you were talking about social media and stuff like that. The way they created for that to make it people addicted to it. You know, to make people come back but just stay on it. Like first thing you wake up, first I'd be clicking Instagram. You know, I struggled with that in the beginning because, especially with the brand, right? When you just wanna like, I just wanna to keep the business grow.
Yeah.
You tryna like create content for the page and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when you don't have no content, you're just trying to post, you know, you're trying to post anything that comes to mind. And me, I'm the kind of person, like, I just want to be active, you know, keep moving and stuff like that. But when I figure out you don't really need to do that, you know, you actually have to be real. Because the people who support you will always be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one thing that I learned figuring out balancing in social media is like I said earlier, finding those specific reasons why you going there. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
yeah. And now they actually have options that you can like set for 30 minutes per day.
Oh, yeah,
You can
about
actually
that.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
30 minutes, 40 minutes, you can do like now, like I said, I set my thing for 30 minutes. If I'm going on social media, it has to be for a reason. If I'm just going to instant message, it'll be just an instant message.
Yeah.
I'm not going on home and go and scroll. Like I can't do that because I have 30 minutes on it. So when that 30 minutes runs out,
Yeah.
no more
You
Instagram.
gotta do something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
actually really good. Yeah.
But you have to be disciplined, right? Because I could just say no more, but I can still go on it, right?
That's true.
So it's kind of like keeping yourself accountable,
Yeah.
not to, yeah.
That's
And
right.
like I don't blame people like being on social media like 24/7 because like it gives you that rush of dopamine too. Like when you get those likes, you get that validation. It gives you that you feel like okay, I'm getting a certain love out of what I'm posting. So let me give you more and more and more.
And on top of that too, like right, the algorithms based on what you're liking, they're gonna feed you more of it.
That's
Right?
it.
So
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Based what you
So
like,
put it down.
they'll actually feed you more of the stuff that you like.
Yeah,
It's so true.
That's right.
Yeah, so so for us to conclude the whole podcast, we usually like to end it with a quote. And the quote that I have for today, based on self-love and self-acceptance, is what is your thought on this? The secret of self-love, no, the secret of happiness is rely on the self-love you have for yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
What is your thought on that?
So the secret of
Happiness.
happiness is
It's let's just say it's how much self-love you have for yourself.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So like, cause I mean, in order to be happy, you find happiness through what you love about yourself.
Right.
Because I mean, you're with yourself every single day. You know, if something's going wrong, you're gonna experience it up until you solve it. Right. So like, going through your battles and like overcoming those battles, it just adds to the self-love that you have. And then ultimately, it's like you can you'll be in a better state of happiness.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe it's like if the person's not putting up enough work, maybe they can find happiness in like instant gratification and stuff like that. But it's not happiness that can be shared properly with others.
Right.
Right. But then
Yeah.
once you embrace, like the struggles that you're going through, once you find your way out of them, it's like you're gonna be able to share that happiness with other people. You see, that's one thing I realized. It's like once you overcome your struggle, it's like you can identify it in other people.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly what you went through, but you can feel that like, hey, I know something is up.
Yeah.
So it's like you can kind of know how you end up knowing how to talk to those people, how to like help those people because you've had a piece of that struggle yourself. Right. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, man. The more that you overcome those things, it improves your self-love, and to the point where it's like it doesn't even have to be about you at the end of the day.
Yes.
You focus on other people.
Right.
So
That's good.
yeah, but I'm gonna pass it down.
Quote? No, I really love the quote, but I think to that like self-love, like I don't know if there's necessarily a secret to the happiness. I think it's kind of complex where I think self-love is like one ingredient.
Okay.
Out of a couple.
There's so many other things, right? But self-love, of course, is one of the main things.
Yeah, it's pivotal.
Yeah.
In your happiness.
Yeah.
So I agree on that. Yeah.
And what about Arturo? I've been waiting for this one.
Okay, so go back to the points that I mentioned earlier about how it comes from your family, right? So coming from your family is a dependent factor, something that you have no control over. You're depending on them to provide that for you.
Yeah.
But there's also the independent factor, which is literally called self-love, coming from within. Right? Earlier, we had a podcast called Interdependence or Interdependent, and part of that was basically balancing between being independent and dependent. Right? So, with self-love itself, I wanted to go back to a documentary I watched sometime. I don't know when.
Okay.
But it's a listed TV show called Mr. Rogers. I'm not sure if you guys know.
Yeah.
But there was an interesting point that Mr. Rogers stated.
Yeah.
Basically, the foundation from which you value yourself. Right? So a lot of us tend to value ourselves based on the things that society places, the society determines to be valuable. right? So a lot of us tend to place our value based on the marks that we get at school, based on the way we do at sports, based on the way that we sing. But the main thing that he mentioned, those things are quite easily destroyed whenever you're not succeeding at them. Because the moment they're destroyed, then your foundation of loving yourself is destroyed. So the main point that he mentioned was basically, you love yourself for who you are, the uniqueness that you have. Because at the end of the day, when those things are gone, you still have yourself.
That's right.
And as long as you love yourself, then you can continue to move forward with pride and feeling valued.
Absolutely.
So that's my thoughts on that quote.
I love that because I feel like that's you know, that's what people see too. You know, it's like, oh, you know, this person failed at whatever, you know, he lost his career, but then as they keep watching you, they'll see exactly how you feel about it. It's like, are you affected by it? You know, are you in the dumps or something? But then it's like, no, they're still progressing, like, you know, because they still love themselves, and you can. I feel like that's the energy you can feel.
Yeah.
You know, so I like that. I really like that.
Yeah. We came on that. Yeah. It's a great podcast.
Oh yeah.
I hope we can do this more.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we'll be
We
back.
It's not gonna be the first
come
time.
to you guys' podcast.
Oh, yeah,
we'll
yeah,
come
face
to
to
your
face,
podcast.
That's right. Yeah. That's for sure.
definitely. So whenever you guys, you know,
Yeah.
we don't want to do Zoom though.
Nah.
I was talking to Khalil before,
yeah.
like the whole Zoom, obviously because of circumstances we had to do it.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Like we haven't planned. We talked to other people too. Like like if we bring you back, we're gonna
Yeah.
make sure it's gonna be in the face to
For
face.
sure.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
just
like
my
this.
co-host on tour for sure.
100%. Yeah, man. I can't wait for that.
So thank you for coming. And we should see you guys